I mean, some of us, we have good motives, but abandoning a child, it does something to a child.
It really affects the child in the long run. Really affects the child. Mm-hmm.
So after that situation, it was from one to the next. I think the next thing that happened to me as a young boy, it was, well, I remember the age of 4 or 5 that the babysitter that my father had molested me. And it was a woman. And I remember telling my father and other persons that, and they were laughing. It was like, a woman molests you?
At 4?
At 4. And the workers in my father's place, they were joking around like, you should be happy. You were molested by a woman, you should be happy. But it was a really bad time for me as a young boy. And I remember the trauma that it did, because one, you could not understand what was happening to you, and two, you felt violated. And whether you're a woman or a man, to feel violated at that young age, it does something to you psychologically.
Definitely.
So I think that was number one. Number two, I think I remember being the age of 6 or 7, and one of my father workers also molested me. And that time it was a man. And I remember he used to always play with me and my brothers and have fun with us and tell us, come and help him lift up boxes. And I remember he asked me to come and help him do something, but he was in the toilet. And as a young playful boy, I would just follow him. And then after, I remember he holding me and grabbing me, and I thought it was a game. And then the only memory I have of it is going to the toilet after and see a whole set of blood. And I think that was one of the serious traumas I had as a young boy that basically spiraled me into all this negativity.
You know, I promise to have my little box of tissues because I'm a cry baby, and I know everybody's going to be seeing me crying on Facebook. But, you know, I know we speak up about your life story, but before we continue, what advice you have for young men? I know we speak about young women all the time when we talk about molestation, but what advice you have for young men so that they can be more aware as to whether a male or a female is trying to molest them?
I can tell young men, I think that in the world that we live, the danger of molestation is heightened towards the woman or the female. But at the end of the day, it's very real for both sides.
Yeah.
And young boys normally, they take more risk. They will go anywhere. They would think what can happen. They might be stranded. They might just friend anyone. But at the end of the day, as a young mind, you have to be mindful of where you go, who you go with, who is talking to you, what they're asking you to do. Because boys are full of fun and playing, but that is a trap in itself that the predators use to come at you.
So you went to the bathroom and there was blood.
Oh, yes.
Did you tell a parent? Did you go to the hospital? Like, what was that whole fiasco like?
Trust me, I remember telling my father, and I remember they going after the guy, but nothing much didn't happen because he basically said I was a liar.
Even with the blood? Even with
the blood. And I was more, well, not by my parents, but by the workers that was there at the time. I was more ridiculed and laughed at. And that happened for so many years where people would come up with my father and they would say, look him, the old buller. And I remember
Wait, they were referring to you or the guy?
Me, because obviously you was molested as a young boy. And that went on for so many years, obviously not in the mix of my father or my mother or my stepmother, but when we would get a little talk, they would throw these little things at me.
Yeah.
And I remember something in me flipped. And I was maybe around 8 or 9. And when that worker said it over and over again, there was a knife or something wrong. And at that point, my dark side started. I went to try to kill him. I tried to stab him, but obviously being a little boy, he rooted the knife out of my hands and went and complained. But that was the moment where my dark side,
Emerged.
emerged.
Okay, so we're from 1 to 10 and we already have trauma.
So much.
Okay, tell me one happy memory between 1 and 10. Just one.
Sorry, I remember my father. He used to travel a lot. He used to be in Hoxton. So I remember every Christmas, he would ensure he comes back home. Even if he didn't finish his business, he would come back home and bring a bag of toys. And we would be all excited. So I remember that for sure. But my father, again, being a businessman, and I want to reach out to business people, because at the end of the day, money is not more important than your children. And we tend to say, I am supporting them and I have to do this. But a child growing up in the proper environment with the proper support is more important than a child growing up with money. And at the end of the day, the child can work for the money, or the child can work to develop themselves. But a child that is damaged is no use to society. A child that is damaged and torn from within can cause so many things, because at the end of the day, this is where criminals emerge. This is where so much wrong that is in society, it starts.
And just people being sensitive and vulnerable, because even if you don't become a criminal, sometimes we lose people through suicide, we lose our women through, they want to enter relationships where abuse is present, but they're seeking love. So it's not just, someone may be sitting there and thinking, oh, but I'm not a criminal. However, there are different ways that your upbringing can affect you. And that's something you learn in psychology, that your childhood is definitely going to be a reflection of your adulthood. Oh, yes. Whether or not it's one extreme or the other, where you either decide I'm going to be a product of it because, I'll be bad or I'll be good, but you're definitely a product of your childhood.
Oh, yes.
So I'm happy that you said that. All right. So 11 to 15. Yeah. I'm so afraid to take a big jump and go to 20. So let's do 11 to 15.
Well, 11 to 15, that is high school age.
Yes. But you know what? How many siblings do you have?
26. My father was considered a hot boy.
The guy.
Back in the day, yeah. And it didn't help his case anymore because he had a little money. So
okay.
Yeah. Really.
So I was gonna ask how many siblings you had, and you said so maybe 26. Yeah. And I was going to ask about your financial upbringing. So I know you said your dad was a businessman. And of course, as you just said, so maybe y'all had a life a little more comfortable than most in terms of the finances. Mm-hmm. So you didn't have to suffer the not having television or not having shoes to go to school and this kind of things. You're not that kind of guest.
No, my father was financially stable.
Okay.
And he ensured that we were well provided for. But, yeah.
Okay, so we'll come back to your father finances and his business. But so 11 to 15.
11 to 15. At that stage, I had already made a decision through my circumstances to become violent. So that would be my high school era, which did not go good at all. I fought with teachers, principals. I was expelled. It was just havoc. And when I wasn't fighting in school, I was fighting on the streets, gangs. Even at that age, I was already in gangs, because at the end of the day, what is a gang? A gang is a group of fellas that come together and hang out. But they become a gang when they forge an alliance with each other that we are going to do destructive things. That's the only difference. Mm-hmm. So I was in a lot of gangs, coming to the school, vandalizing everything. And I still remember the teachers of the school being so upset with me, checking like, why are you so terrible? What is wrong with you? And I remember one teacher, she's actually the principal now, is called Miss Inti. And she used to cry and tell me, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? What happened to you? And I remember watching her, and inside me, wanting to burst out and tell her all the bad that happened to me, but I just could not say a word. But what I could do is just curse and walk away. That was my first moment where somebody actually cared that
Enough.
wanted to find out.
Yeah.
Trust me.
And she used to thank her. They must thank her. One of these days, and maybe she's hearing this tonight or she will eventually hear it. But, very often I think that we tend not to let people know that one little act they would have done that could have changed our lives or that would stand out forever. It's very important to tell people these things. Okay, so back to the vandalizing and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, you said you were expelled. So did you complete high school or were you just sent to another school?
I did not complete high school. I actually went back to school as a grown man. And well, just to backtrack a little, it was so terrible that in the school we had gangs. And someone will say, but this is Dominica, this is not the States. But it was actually happening in the school where we would have gangs and that class against that class or that school against that school. I remember one time it had some, like, I think Bamboo House, where they used to say children used to go and do stuff. We used to meet in Bamboo House with our stone and sticks, and we war in against another school, whether it is Goodwill Secondary, and it's big war, like around 15 fellas on every side, and we just checking. We had to kill them.
No, I mean,
it was that bad.
No, I mean, like, so you didn't feel bad, like, okay, you vandalized the school, you didn't feel bad about it because you said you're acting out. Very often when people are acting, we're trying to understand children who may be acting out, and very often when you're acting out because you want that attention. So did you ever feel bad for vandalizing the school, or did you ever feel like, what if when I throw that stone, that person might fall to the ground and never get up? Did you ever feel bad about that or scared about these things?
At the time, no. And I actually can tell you the reason, because when life have dealt you such a terrible hand, you feel like you supposed to get some revenge against the world. You feel like somebody needs to suffer for what has happened to you all your life, and nobody cares. So why should you care about them? Nobody cares to say, young fella, what's going on with you, or are you okay, or have you eaten? And I want to reach out to people, to teachers, to people that are wrong, young people. You caring and showing interest in a young person's life can be the turning point in their life. It can save them from committing murder or suicide, because we're living in a world where nobody cares.
Definitely.
No one cares. And it is about time society as a whole needs to go back to the days where your people in your neighborhood could meet you and beat you and tell you go home. Because these are the things that saved the young people of the past.
Yes.
And now nobody cares. I see young children walking the roads and falling down drunk. Nobody wouldn't say, hey, young fella, you're too young to be drinking like that. You're falling down, your pants low. These are the things that save young people.
Save a society, not just young people, but save a society, because you were young then, but now you are the old man today, So definitely save a society. All right, so moving on. You've been expelled from school. Expulsion was your reality. What did you do at this point?
Being expelled in school, having a father, and I must say my father was very strict. So it was almost impossible for him to understand my behavior, because he said he did not raise us like that. But at the end of the day, maybe now I can understand. He was a very strict man. He did things right. He had a lot of discipline, but he wasn't there. So who raised me? Think of a young boy your entire life. I shouldn't call them mates, but helpers. Mm-hmm. Helpers are the ones that raise us. So a helper cannot tell the owner's child, stop that. You're going to be like, So we were not raised. So when these things started happening, and my father was like, how could you do this? You can't stay in that house if you're doing that. He basically said, you have to leave my house. Go out if you want to be that kind of a way, go out on the road.
My way or the highway.
Yes.
Yes.
And that did not help. But it accelerated things so much that if he did not do that, maybe I would have gone another path. And what I mean by that is he kicking me out and telling me, you need to either get disciplined or can I stay in my house? I went to my brother. And that brother was the known terrorist of the time. And he told me, and people like to feel that criminals are heartless. But I remember my brother crying. And a big man on the block selling drugs, crying.
Oh, Jesus, don't incriminate. Okay, go ahead.
And telling me, well, I mean, he's, God bless his soul, he's passed.
Yes.
And telling me, Danny, I cannot see you on the road. I don't have nothing good to give you. I cannot teach you nothing good, but I will raise you as my own son, my brother.
Yeah.
So he took me in his house. He was staying in like a 1-bedroom house. So he took me there, took me to the block with him. All the bad things he used to be doing. Basically, he gave me a manual as to how to do it. And guess what? The truth of life is the student always grows
to be better than the teacher.
Than the master. So guess what happened? I learned all what he taught me, and I turned out worse. Because when he had like 3 cases, 4 cases, I had 8, 10 at any given time. At any given time, any month in the year, you would hear I have 8 cases in the courts. You would hear my name calling left court, juvenile court, assault and battery.
Oh, so you're still under 18 at this point?
Still under 18. Still under 18. In fact, the prosecution at the time was battling with lawyers because they wanted to try me as an adult. Because the kind of a heinous and grievous crimes that I was committing, they said that man has to be tried as an adult.
Okay, so before we get to that crime, the one that we will talk about later, what were some of the little crimes you were doing that you were going to court for?
Beating people, fighting on the streets. I think that one of the things that I loved, and I only can say it now because God came into my life and showed me all the wrong that I did. But I used to pull up on the streets and feel like I have to do something that is going to give me an exhilaration. So I would meet somebody and they slap them. Or they try to pick a fight. Or some fella with his girlfriend just go and just try and grab him or grab her. And obviously a fight start and I know that's what I want. Imagine we fighting and I fighting with a dude and there's a big smile on my face and he fighting with me and telling me, why you laughing and smiling? But I'm so happy that I'm getting to let off this anger and hate. In the fight, he punching me, I punching him, there's a big smile on my face.
And Danny promised you're not going to make me cry. Okay, so it was fighting, punching. It was never stealing because you didn't need to steal for any reason.
Nope.
So it was more you passing out, or as you said before, trying to get revenge for why the world is turning out that way. Right. Okay, so you have court cases and everything. And of course, I know you're sitting here tonight and everyone is just waiting to hear you talk about when you were wanted, you know, officially the biggest terrorist in Dominica, as you would say sometimes. And I know Danny well. He's my friend. And because I'm new to him, I just don't know that side. I cannot see that side. But very often, you know, when he's given a speech and he's been motivational, he would say, once I was the biggest terrorist. So tell us a little bit about that. What happened? How did it happen? Tell us about that day, how it began.
I think that day was all about ego and pride. And when you're in, I would say they call it gang culture. But when you're in that culture, it's not even about who wronged me or who hurt me, but who feels they're more bad than me. I have to attack them. Because I have to be the worst. I have to be seen as the most dangerous. And thinking about it now, it sounds so ridiculous, but that was the time, the theory behind it at the time. And we, my brothers and myself, used to hear about this powerful gang which they call Blue and whatever. And we decided to ourselves that we would not attack them, but if the opportunity arises, we would show the world which one or which side is the bad side.
Okay, before you continue, something just comes to mind. You're good with all these people now, right? We talking about this not gonna cause me to be looking for my Danny and crying and
Well, I mean, at the end of the
everything
day,
is good now that we can
I
speak
changed my
about
life.
this.
I'm a pastor
Okay.
now, so the only thing I can tell them is God bless them, and I hope that the things that I'm saying now does not offend them, because
Yes.
I hope to bring people to God, and that is why I'm here to share my story.
And you're
let others know.
apologetic. That's the most important thing. Okay, continue. I just want to make sure it's okay to speak about it. You know, we've been open, but I don't want it to be a situation where they feel like you are saying that you're the baddest or you're still the baddest. Clearly, you're saying that was just how you felt at that point.
That's how we felt at the point.
Okay.
But that night, I don't think it was instigated, but I think it was not de-escalated. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, because we did not look for the problem, but we did not back down. And I feel
That's
when
a gang thing.
yes, when
Yeah.
you have two, should I say, powerhouses deciding that it not gonna happen. It's either you die or we die. Things can escalate really fast. And as to the details, I would not like to go into it because
That's fine.
they're things that are
Yeah.
that are happening through that or still happening because of that. But the long story short in that situation was that a man died, and as sorry as I would be, I feel now, at the time, it was a everyday thing. We would check like, okay, Mr. died, or we check like, okay, he killed Mr. And we would check like, but if we didn't kill them, they would kill us, or if something didn't happen. So, because at the end of the day, it would have not been no good outcome. It was almost impossible. So I just saying maybe God was on our side, or maybe God decided what would transpire. But I believe that it was just as easy as one of us dying or one of us passing away. Because obviously these people is no joke, just like we thought we were at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So it was the mundane thing. It just seemed like, oh, he died. Okay, we're the bad ones now. But what happened after that? Because when someone dies, the police come into play. But at that moment that person lost their life, did you... Okay, no, I shouldn't ask you that. I don't want you to answer that on radio. But, okay, the police came into play. Go ahead. Tell me about that.
Well,
that
actually...
aspect. No,
no, I wasn't going to say it.
Okay.
Actually, what I was about to say is that I was also a victim.
Okay.
Because, like I said, it was do or die on... It could have been on any side.
Yes.
So one of the guys actually slit my head. So I have a long scar there.
Yes.
And I was bleeding out.
And funny enough, when I met him, that scar is what actually started our conversation.
No.
But you were bleeding out. So you were in a state that you could have died also.
I actually was hospital for a couple of weeks, and they stitched up my head. And I remember the doctor, because I was still conscious at the time, telling my family that he's not going to make it. The cut is too deep, it's too large, he's not going to make it. And I'm there hearing that happening or being said, but you know, like when you go into sleep, you feel like you're getting drowsy. So I was actually asking myself, am I dying? Is this it? Yeah.
So you were in the hospital for a few weeks, and so obviously the legal aspect, you didn't have police. Were you under arrest on that bed?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Trust me. One of the worst feelings that's why I come here to try and get young people to know that is not the right way. Do you know one of the worst feelings a young man or young woman could have in their life is knowing that you you were dreaming, because I was dreaming, and I woke up, and I moved, and I heard cha-ching. I was like, what? And when I watched down, I was handcuffed to the bed, both legs, a chain around my waist. And I was like, what is going on? And then I remember, boy, he was in a big fight. So, obviously, the first thing that came to my mind is, boy, maybe kill somebody. Yeah. So it was so horrifying because I was like, okay, your life over. You just killed somebody, because that kind of a lockdown there, you did something terrible.
But did you, all the time you were fighting, did you ever think that a day would have come that you would have killed somebody?
Yes, I did.
Danny, not answering the question. No, yes,
I did. What I would say is that you knew that eventually it would happen, but you would not try to instigate it, because as in Badman world, we know jail, that is what coming after. But you stand a fighting chance in court to save your freedom if you are not the instigator.
Yes.
Does that make better sense?
Yeah, definitely. So you heard chiching, and it was not money, it was the handcuffs.
Yes.
And let's go from there.
I think I passed out again, and a number of police came and woke me up. So when I was woken up, I saw like around 5-6 police around me and lift me up because I couldn't walk. Lift me up, carried me, signed me off. And remember, I still drips and everything,
Mm-hmm.
Carried me in the ward, signed me off, and brought me to the police station because to answer for my crimes.
They finally have something that can stick. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they brought me up to CID. Told me what I did. Mm-hmm. I was like, what? And I think the injury I got in my head also had me, should I say, some light case of amnesia.
Amnesia, yeah.
So I could not really remember
everything.
But so then they were basically telling me what I did, what I do, or what transpired, and I was like, I could not believe it. And they told me...
You could not believe it, or you didn't want to believe it because of the situation you were in now?
No, I mean, I could not believe, because at the end of the day, what that meant for me at the time is your life over. So I check in, as bad as I was like, hey, there's so many things you wanted to do in life. You're not going to get that chance again. There's so many... maybe you wanted to travel, or maybe have children, or do something, or married. At the end of the day, at the back of your mind, no matter what life you live in, we all have dreams and things that we want to aspire to.
So the bad man have a dream.
Yes, and I want you to know that every bad man, every man that considers themselves on the block or in the ghetto, there's two things that I know about people that society has labeled. One, every one of them believe in God. If you want to hear about God, go in the prison. Every person that is in the prison at 6 o'clock every day, they pray to God, because at the end of the day, we know that there is a God, but most of us find ourselves closer to God in our darkest hour.
Definitely.
In our darkest hour. And you can test me on that. If you remember watching movies about bad man, maybe in their own sick, twisted way, but you would see a bad man with his gun, and what he have in the other hand?
A Bible.
A Bible. Right?
Yeah.
So we all know God, and the conscious, the God spirit that is in us makes us understand that what we are doing is bad.
Yes.
Or what we are doing, we need to repent. Or what we are doing, we need Him to guide us through, so we'll end up alive.
Okay, so that's one thing about a bad man. They always believe in God. And what's the other one?
The other one, no bad man wanted to end up like that. What happens is they accept it, but they do not want it. That's a totally different thing.
Danny, you know how many parents at home that's suffering with their son or their rebelling daughter, and they just cannot accept this right now, that the child doesn't want to be that way, or the child that's in prison right now that they spoke over and over and over and over to, and they're in prison. Like, you really think that parents can accept all that I've put in? They didn't want to end up that way.
They did not want to end up that way. And I'm not saying it so because I'm very sure. I'm confident as I'm confident that I have skin. No troubled child, no criminal did not expect to be that way. Life and the circumstances that they end up in led to bad choices, and bad choices led to more bad choices. And then after making one bad choice after the other, as a person, do you know our biggest critic is ourselves?
Yes.
As a person, you're telling yourself, you really must be not good. You really must be bad. You really must be a criminal. You really must be something that society does not need. So you're actually convincing yourself over and over and over that this is your life, that you're a criminal, you will never be anything better. And that's how Satan uses these situations to trap us into getting and becoming worse and worse and worse, because we give up trying to change.
All right. I understand that. And when you say it that way, it makes it seem like there's hope.
There is hope.
And I guess we'll get into that aspect as to what you're doing now. But when you say it that way, it makes it seem like, you know, all the young men or the young women out there who actually been bad men or rebellious, that there's hope for them. I know we have people calling in, but we're just trying to get as much of the story in 1 hour. If we, in later times, we need more time, we will, we'll take it up with the big man himself. Okay, so you were taken down to the police station, and what's next?
Charges, all kind of charges, all kind of accusations, but having at that point been back and forth in criminal activity, I know the number one rule: don't say a word. Don't say a word for your lawyer. At the end of the day, there is no one that considers themselves to be a criminal, or should I say travel criminal pass, that don't know that rule. That means you have a serious problem. But I kept silent, waited for my lawyer, because I knew either my father or my relative, somebody would have sent a lawyer. And when the lawyer came, the lawyer actually made noise with the police at the time and tell them, this man is almost dying, but all you have him here, bring him back to the hospital. So I went back to the hospital for another 2 or 3 weeks to nurse up my wounds.
Oh, you were that sick still?
I was, they say I was really close to passing out, dying. But because the cut was like 3 inches deep, going across my head. Like, I think the cutlass at the time actually stuck in my head. So yeah, it was really bad. Yeah.
So 3 weeks in the hospital. All right. And then you're out. Were you on bail? Or did they take you to prison? Have you ever slept a night in jail or in prison itself? I
think what was decided is that I cannot be let out on the streets, and not even for me having a bad pass, but because for my own safety. Because at the time they were like, there's a gang of 30-something guys, and there's 3 or 4 of them. So they say, having someone died, this man is sure to die in a matter of days or weeks. So they battled with my lawyers, because my lawyers tell me, what do you want to do? Do you really want to come out on the streets? You'll die here. I was like, get me out on the streets. And so they were battling, and they were able to agree that I would stay jail for 1 month, just to cool things down.
Not in the headquarters cell up Stock Farm.
No. Yes, in the headquarters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
to cool things down. So imagine how terrible it had to have been. And I stayed in jail for 1 month, and you would be surprised that inmates came to me and started telling me about, boy, my brother, you're a young man, and let me tell you something. Try to come out inside there. Inmates, men that was there for 8 years, 15 years, 10 years, they tell me, boy, a young fellow like you, I was watching you, you're a strappy young man. Try to come out inside there. The man say, boy, I remember a guy telling me, my brother, I there for 15 years, you know. I not gonna come out anytime soon. Another guy used to tell me, boy, I there for life. Another guy tell me, boy, I there for 8 years. That is not a place for a young man. And they talk in my head and they tell me, my brother, we know what you there for because the whole of Dominica know. But promise us, if you come out inside there, you try and do something better with your life. So that went on for a whole month, up until the day I got bail. You know when they bringing down fellas on the prison bus? The day I got bail, the bus was rattling, shaking. Prison. I think the officers was thinking like maybe some sort of escape that was happening, but the prisoners was so overjoyed, rattling the bus, saying, "Daddy, go out and do something with your life. Go out and change your life." They was so excited. They saying, "Danny, don't come back inside there. Look, Daddy get bail." And for me, that told me something. That tell me that, see how much passion these people are, these criminals that don't even know you from head to toe, but it's like God was talking to me through them.
Okay, so you're out on bail. The case went on. You won your case. I'm hoping that's what happened. Nothing dramatic happened after that.
I was spared. I would say God, considering that I was a victim as well, God ensured that he took me out from the matter, and but not before a whole set of things spiral in my life. I think we don't, as a society, we don't understand what happens to the person when they are labeled. And I would like to say that, like, when somebody is arrested for a crime, when somebody is accused of something, at the end of the day, whether they do it or not,
the stigma,
they
discrimination,
have to answer for their crimes. But society gives you another set of punishments. I that has happened to me in the past, and I know of other inmates that has happened too. No one will give you a job. No one wants to see talking to you. But at the end of the day, these things is what are going to help you bring yourself back on track. People will not even want to talk to you. So at the end of the day, society becomes your judgment apart from your judgment. So how can a past criminal or somebody that has made a mistake, how can that person bring their life back on track where they have to coexist in a society that will tell them what you are every day? And I always make jokes with my friends or young guys when I'm mentoring them. I tell them society is very unforgiving, and they tell me, no man, society does forgive. I tell them, okay, can you tell me how many times somebody have to volley to be called a volley?
Sometimes even before you volley.
That's right. How many times must a man interfere with a woman to be called a rapist or molester? And that person will be called that name for the rest of their life. For the rest of their life. And even though some people might not say it, but they will always throw it back in your face, say, old volley.
Or they'll think it, and then you'll feel disadvantaged in situations. And speaking of disadvantaged, what was it like going out to get a job after? Cause you said you were on bail, eventually won your case, or the case was dissolved, and you're now trying to get a job. What was that like?
Terrible. Because I couldn't get a job, one, obviously I was uneducated, and two, the stigma was so ripe. Like, Dominica is a small place. So anybody that I went to for a job either knew me or knew the people that I had problems with. Imagine that. And that was in every circumstance. Either they knew me or knew someone that I had a problem with. Imagine I went as far as Granby and Portsmouth, and the owner tell me, but not you, that was the fella that dude Jeffrey that, and I trying to figure out who is Jeffrey, and then I found out that Jeffrey is his wife cousin, because we went to Portsmouth, opening of carnival, and SSU had to stop us because it's war. Serious war. So at the end of the day, yeah.
Okay, so how did you get to the point to go get some adult education? Because I want us to get, we're running out of time. I feel like Danny's story can go on for 3 hours. Yeah. But now, I mean, if you're joining us on the Facebook Live, and thank you guys for being there, so we have a good support. If you're joining us, you can see the picture in the back. And the picture in the back, my friend Danny have on his doctorate cap. His doctorate cap. I don't have my doctorate cap yet. And the man that just told you from 1 to 10, he was kawatin already. From 11 to 15, he was fighting with teachers. Before he was 18, he had several court cases all at once. Then eventually, one of the biggest mistakes of his life is that he took someone else's life, is standing back there with a doctorate cap on. The one who was expelled from school is standing with that doctorate cap. And the first thing he will say is only God. But how did you get here?
I think the first thing that happened is women. When you live in such a lifestyle, you have a lot of women. And in moving from one woman to the next, you get in glimpse of how they're dealing with your coldness or how they're dealing with your hurt. And as a child, one of the few memories I have of my mother, because she left when I was very young, and is that she met me and my brothers, because it was two of us here, me and my brother, and she came back to Dominica just to see us, to officially tell us that she's leaving. And she met us and she brought us in the gardens, and then she told us, Danny and Jack, promise me one thing. You will never become like your father. You will never do the things that your father have done. You will never do the things that are wrong. Promise me one thing. And growing up, it never clicked until I met women and I heard so many women, and then it just had one day, I keep hearing my mother voice in my ears. Promise me you will not be like your father. Promise me you will not make the same mistakes. Promise me that. And I had so many women, and it's like I just could not, like, you know, when something put a bad taste in your mouth, it's like I don't know if at the time maybe it was God, but I could not have all these women anymore. I was just to look for excuses to tell them, girl, leave me alone. I can't deal with you. Because the whole fact that they crying over me, the fact that they hurting over me, and they telling all my friends how Danny using me and doing all kind of things. It was breaking me because I remembered my mother. And that was one of the only memories I had of my mother. So it was contaminated by my own action. So I had to let it go. And in letting it go, what happened to me is that I actually tried relationships, but trying the relationships failed. And it failed because I was too violent. I was aggressive, verbally abusive, all kind of things. So I decided at that time I'm going to try to be a better person. So from relationship to relationship, I start identifying what in the relationship that I did wrong. The first one, I wanted to fight with the woman. So I say, next relationship, I'm going to stop that. The second one, I was verbally abusive, always cursing. I say, the next relationship, I'm going to stop that. I remember a woman tell me, you acting like you so big and bold, but you fool is a fool. And that spiked me. So I decided to go to school. Mm-hmm. And I decided I will never be a fool again. And then I I enrolled because in order for you to go to college, you have to go back and do your what do you call it now, your diploma. So I enrolled in BTC, and at the time I had no money, but I had a lot of things. I mean, like gold rings, gold chains, bike, everything. And I decided, you know what? You cannot change your life if you're holding on to that life. So every semester, I sell in one ring. Then I sell one chain. Then I start making price with people, how much they'll give me for my bike, for that bike. Because I had how much bikes, how much chains, how much things. So I paid my way through BTC and through college with things that I had, possessions that I had. I sell a laptop. I sell a pair of shoes. I'd reach a point where I was literally sharing because I used to have like 30, 40 pairs of shoes brand new. I literally sell that 2 pairs of shoes up, and the time you give me 500 for it, I sell it because I was determined to become a better person. And it all come from the words my mother tell me, like it was tormenting me. Yeah. Tormenting me.
Oh Lord, we have 5 minutes. But okay, so now you have acquired your doctorate. I'm supposed to be saying Dr. Danny Joseph tonight. And I'm saying this with such a big smile because you have no idea. Like, he had the official graduation yesterday. Well, not graduation, but ceremony that the family could be. And people from every walk of life, they were there. And the person who just said earlier that they wanted to feel like somebody cared about them. They wanted to feel that love was getting so much love. Danny, I want you to tell young people out there who have taken the wrong path how much love you can actually get by being good.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The first thing I want to tell young persons is that, one, you are not alone. This world is harsh. This world is in itself self-destructing. But you are not alone, because the biggest tactic of the enemy is to isolate you and make you believe that what you are going through is only happening to you. But there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that have passed through the same things you have passed through. Yeah. They're actually battling it. And some of us, with the right help and the right comfort, we emerge victorious. And at the end of the day, the first and most important thing in my life that I want to share with them, find God. Find God. It cannot get better than that. When nobody else believes in you, Christ, just knowing that Jesus Christ died for you, just knowing that no matter how bad I am as a person, no matter how much wrong I have done, there is Christ that died for me. He gave his own life for me. These things, they help you, because feeling important, feeling some sort of value, it makes you want to become a better person, because the majority of criminals, they don't feel nobody care about them. Yeah. But somebody care about you. There are so many groups in Dominica. Julie have a Julie Roberts Foundation, and my family have a foundation. There are so many groups that are created just to help young people. And find yourself. If you have a problem, come to me. I'll help you. Come to us. We'll nurture you. I don't believe that there is people in Dominica that cannot come from the terrible situation that they are in.
Yeah.
There is a way. I want you to know that. I want you to see and feel the warmth of knowing that somebody else cares about you. The warmth of knowing that you did not go through all this pain and heartache for nothing. There is something bigger and better meant for your life. God is going to take you, and how bad it is, he's going to take you and transform it, where you will be giving testimonies, and people will change their life because of what you say. Because it's happening for me now. It's happening where God has brought me into the ministry of pastorship. And when I speak to young men, do you know that I work for government? And government would like to do a project in a society or in a neighborhood, and the young men there would say, "Oh, don't come around there. You don't care about us." But they will send me, And the young men would say, boy, Danny boy, enough respect to you, my brother, because you're a man that do it all. You change your life. So that means God has given me a purpose to help young people, because now they can identify with my past, and they know if I come to them, I do not come from pretense. I do not come from trying to use and abuse them. So they know, they will tell me, Danny, if you say that this project that the government is doing will benefit us, it will be good for us, we trust you. And that is what sharing your past does for other people. It makes them know that they are not the only one in this thing called life.
Yeah. We're out of time. We have so much more, but there is something. Want to take a call? Okay. All right. So there is something that I want us to put at rest. So I remember someone was speaking yesterday. I think it was Jamie Williams. And she said one of the projects that she dealt with you was that your family was given bread. So I want us to put this bread thing at rest. There is this very notorious story that affected your family business. And I know that's the next thing when people think Danny Joseph, they do think about that. So can you give us just a little thing of it and the truth behind? Do you think that your family bread was contaminated in any way, and how did that scandal affect the business?
Oh yes. Well, at the time I was very young, but my father obviously communicated to me that at the time his bakery was the leading bakery in Dominica, and if anyone understand what it means to be leading, as in captured 90% of Dominica in sales, and my father told me that because his competitors they couldn't make better bread than him, they could not do distribution, they didn't have the business skills, they actually told him, we will destroy you. And out of that plan came out, he said one day he heard that they put in dead people water in the bread. And he tell me, Dominica being a very funny nation, and also rumors can
spread
go
so
fast. He tell me instantly, if a bakery knows what they're doing, and from 90 something bags of bread a day to 15 bags of bread, that is like total destroyed. And my father say it's only through the grace of God. Slowly but surely people start to realize, well, what they're saying is nonsense. At the end of the day, they sent so many environmental people to assess him, so many government people, and they could not get nothing, because they even tell him, boy, we're so sorry for you, but at the end of the day, nothing we can do. But we know that the things that was said is lies, because we cannot find no trace of nothing at all.
So you stand on record today, non-talgo, so that never happened.
Never happened.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say, I mean, society considers me to be successful, and because I have my business, I have a good job, I'm married, I have a family. But what I want to let you know is that success is yours too. Yes. Success is yours too. And the things that we go through, as hard or as bad as it may come across, they build a level of determination in you, that you want to see yourself in a better place. You want to prove to the world that you are a better person. So whatever you're going through, whatever that is your situation now, you can use that, turn that around to become a great man or woman, a great business person, a great father or husband, or whatever the case may be. Whatever that is in your heart that you want to do, it is possible.
Okay. Do we have a caller? Okay. Well, before we... Oh, let's take a short break and we'll be right back so we can sort out exactly what's happening behind the scenes. So, again, this is Danny Joseph and this is Bio Out Loud. We'll be right back after this. Join me, Julie Roberts, on Bio Out Loud every Monday, 7 to 8 p.m. on DBS Radio. This is where we speak with great and regular Dominicans who will speak about their experiences, failures, and achievements. From doctors to politicians, to sanitary engineers, to the average man on the streets. Your story is a part of the Dominican story. And don't forget, within the Dominican story, we all have a Maria story. Life experiences contributing to the Dominica story with Julie Roberts on Bio Out Loud, YT Kubuli Mondays, 7 to 8 p.m. on DBS Radio. Hi, good night. We're back. I'm Julie Roberts, and this is Bio Out Loud, where we speak about Dominicans, where we share their story, whether it's great, whether it's tragedy, and also we will be adding a bit of Maria's stories next week. So now we're going to open the lines to phone calls. I know we've been getting quite a few, so I invite you to call now. We have our first caller. Good evening.
Peace be unto each and everyone.
Good evening.
I'm calling from Barbados, and I was listening to the gentleman. But while listening, I went to the Bible and saw, Saul. I'm not saying that he was a persecutor, but Saul was persecuting the Christians, and God changed his life. So this is just like this gentleman here.
Yeah.
But it's very good that he's now trying to groom the young people, and I hope that he will continue. I pray that God will continue to strengthen him. We need a lot of those people here in my country too, because we are losing a lot of our young men to violence. And I hope that someday you'll be able to come to this country too, and in a forum where you can speak to the young gentlemen. I'm very glad that you went back to school. Some of them here did the same thing too, and some of them did it in prison.
Yes.
Some of them came out with their degrees and things from our prison here in Barbados. But I hope that the life that lost their family forgive you, and I just hope that you ask them for forgiveness too, because we need to forgive. And continue the good works, and may God continue to bless and guide and protect you and protect your country, and keep on grueling the young people. Let them know that crime does not pay. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. The Julie Roberts Foundation actually did some work last year in Barbados, so I guess the next thing is to fly you over. So, yes, I appreciate that call. Next caller. Good evening. Hello?
Good night.
Good night.
Hi. Let's see. Can I contribute to this program?
Sure you can. We appreciate it.
Okay. I am so in awe listening to this gentleman. I know he said he's from River Street. River Street, middle, upper, or lower?
Upper.
Upper. Okay. I can remember in the 60s, 37, when I just came. I'm from the country area, but when I came to Rose, I know there was this gang between Cape Asa and Howling in the area, and I know River Street was was a dangerous area to even walk through. And when he said that, he was from River Street, and the way he grew, I just remember those times. But now, listening to this gentleman, I call him a gentleman. He is not to be portrayed as what he grew up to be and what people may have been calling him. This gentleman is very fluent in his English. I guess he has, regroomed, reschooled, retooled himself to be what he is today. Just a question: is he a believer now, or
He can answer. Go ahead.
So I'm actually a pastor. I actually received my license to become a full active pastor yesterday, because the part of the graduation was the handing over of my doctorate in theology
okay,
and licensing as a pastor.
as a pastor? Congratulations to you, young man. Yes, sir, not young man, sir. Congratulations to you. You are so fluent. I like listening to you. I was doing some chores and I just have to give it up and sit down and listen to this program. You know, you have. I believe if many other young men in your situation when you're going listen to this program, I think Dominica will be sweet because nowadays, as you said, you cannot speak to a young man now. He will tell you everything about your family and your mother and your father, and that is what I'm still growing up now. And your situation now to go out and mentor to people, I believe it's very good, and I congratulate you for that. But Mr. Joseph, you say?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I coincidentally I'm also a Joseph. I am also a Joseph from the village of Kalibishi, and but I'm living in Ozo for the past, how many years. But I appreciate this program, and you, Mrs. Robinson,
Roberts. Miss
Robert.
Roberts, yes.
Okay, Robert. Okay, you have chosen. Is it your first program?
Yes, it's the first program, and the name of the program is Bio Out Loud.
Bio Out Loud.
Yes.
My God, you have chosen one of the best candidates for this program. You
I
have
think
set
so
a
too.
stage that you have set a stage that and a status that I don't think no other. I'm just saying no other will compare with this gentleman.
Ah,
He's excellent. He's fluent in his speech. And he speaks like someone who has gone to the University of Birmingham in England. I congratulate him, and I congratulate you for choosing this person who has been raised, as he said, without a mother and a father. His father was alive, but not to the bringing up that he would have required. And, to what he was and to what he is now. I appreciate it and I congratulate you. And I want all young Dominican men to take a leaf from your page. Okay, Mr. Joseph?
thank
Yes, sir.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your
I
contribution.
know.
Good night. Okay. Thank you so much for those who contributed. So we're gonna wrap up soon. We have another caller. So sorry we couldn't take all the calls. It's just that we have a long thing. Let's take one more. Okay, one more call.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
I must say congratulations. Actually, I was listening to the other call and we're like, there are so many people who are trying to
I
call right now.
know. I know.
We're going to cut down the time. Anyway, I just want to say congratulations, Dr. Joseph. And listening to his story, and I'll keep it very short. My name is Empress, and actually he gave the prayer while we were at the forum.
Yeah. Hello? Oh, I encourage you to call back. We're not hearing you. So we'll just continue. So Danny, we're just out of time, just about out of time. I definitely want you to give me one final thing, but before we go there, you said you've lost a few siblings. Did that impact your life in any way? Or how did it impact your life? Of course it did impact it, but how did it impact it? Should we take a call? Okay, we have the call before you answer. Hello?
Hi, are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Yes, so that's me again, Empress. My name is Empress, and I was saying congratulations to him. And he was at the forum that we were having for the small businesses.
Yes.
Earlier during the weekend, he gave the opening prayer. So I must say, even listening to his story, because my degree is in criminal law and I studied juvenile delinquency. And coming from a male perspective, just listening to his story, I think it's amazing that he is able to bring that story to the front, because there's so many young males who are being violated but are ashamed to tell their story. So this show this evening, I pray that so many young men, because I work with young women who've been molested back in the States. So to hear it from a male standpoint and to hear his story, I'm hoping that a lot of the young men here would have listened to this program this evening and to be able to tell their story or to tell someone that they're being violated and that the person that they're telling will listen to them and help them through that. And many young men do not get therapy, and that's one of the issues I've realized here is that there's not therapy for a lot of the people who are violated here. So, of course, it goes on into their adulthood, and those are as he tells his stories of how, his life have gone on through the life of crime. But I'll just keep it short, and I say thank you very much for telling and sharing your story. It just touched my heart listening to it. And I hope that someday we can probably work together on a program here and continue to shine, shine, shine.
Thank you.
Dr. Joseph.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. And something we did not say that's quite important is that I know Danny said, you can reach out to the Julie Roberts Foundation, but the foundation has several arms, and the one that deals with young men, which is called the Young Gentlemen's Club, where we have a Big Brother program, a support system for young boys and men. Danny is the president of this. So, Miss Empress, you met him this week, and if you want to work with him, definitely you can work with him in that way. He's very much passionate, and we didn't get to that point, but that's one of the ways that he is giving back. So, I really wanted to talk about the death of your siblings and how it affected you.
Oh, that's a very
And how many siblings you lost? Because apparently it's not just one.
It's not just one. Actually, 3. And do you remember the brother that I said that took me in?
Yeah.
He actually died in my arms.
Oh.
Yeah, by another brother. So it was really messed up. And the thing about it is, in trying to separate them from fighting, I literally blinded him from seeing the other one strike. So the other one was able to stab him, and because I was there, as he moved me, he got stabbed. So I felt responsible. And it affected me so much that I was in shock. And for maybe like a few weeks, like I was just like watching the wall. They even said that I was maybe mentally challenged or I needed to go for some sort of evaluation. But it affected me in such a way to see someone that you love, because at the time, he literally was my father. At the time, he was the one that was giving me money and showing me how to actually survive. So having that person being taken away from you, for me, it cemented the fact that this world doesn't love you. This world does not give you a break at all. Everything that happened, I think I end up moving on, but not moving on because we never really truly move on when we lose someone.
Yes.
But I end up being able to get close to another sibling because I have 20-something, but because of how I was, most of them was separating themselves from me. But there was a sister that she checking like, you're my brother regardless. She died in a car accident. And her body was crushed. And when we went to see her, I couldn't even believe that was my sister. And it's like from that point, I literally remember making the decision that somebody have to pay. Somebody have to pay for what I am going through. And maybe people might not say it out loud, but we have that mentality when we go through trials, when we go through suffering, when we see that we are innocent and people do us things for no reason. It is natural that you would want somebody to pay. That is what we call justice in our own sick, twisted way. But to us, it's justice. Somebody has to pay for what you're going through. And for me, because as you traverse through life and you're seeing good, you're seeing bad, but you always, maybe I should change my life. That point made me change for the worse. Yeah.
So that's 1, 2. There was another sibling, you said 3.
An accident. It's not an accident, but that sibling, I don't know, have you ever felt like you was cursed? And right now, I have siblings that tell me, you doesn't talk to us, you doesn't interfere with us. But part of that, I know it's not true, but psychologically, to me, everybody that I've gotten close with has passed.
Yeah.
So I kind of stayed away. But I know that is just mindset and strongholds, and I break that in the name of Jesus.
Can we take one final call? Hello.
Good night. Yes, good night.
Good night.
Yes, ma'am. I listening to the program there, and it impressed me so much. I want to join with those that call to congratulate this young man. And I want, if the police and them listening, whenever they have these kind of people under arrest, be lenient with them. Don't rough them up. And thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. I mean, she said it in her own way. And I mean, sometimes, as Danny said, we lack empathy in this world, and we're quick to judge. As you said, we want to be the judge, the jury, the prosecutor for people after they have gone through things. But very often it's happening because they are going through something themselves. So you're Dr. Danny Joseph, you're pastor. You are definitely now somebody that a young man can look up to, a young woman can look up to. Society can now look up to Danny Joseph. What does that feel like now?
To be honest, I feel like someone that called, they talk about the scriptures where Saul became Paul.
Yeah.
I feel that is my life. And now I feel that the times or the years that I spent hurting people and destroying people, I am happy to be able to help them heal. And it doesn't necessarily have to be people I hurt, but people that are hurting, because at the end of the day, we are all hurting in our own way.
Yeah.
And knowing that somebody is willing to help you, somebody is willing to give you a helping hand, a hand up, whatever way it might be. It might just be just to listen to them. It might just be just to pray for them. It might be just to make connections or put two sides together. At the end of the day, I feel that it is my duty. I feel that if I don't do it, who's going to do it?
Okay. All right. So I think we can finally wrap up now. And just for the ones listening, I am very much impressed. I love Danny so much. So I can say that publicly. He has definitely been a great part of my journey to help people, to know that you can make a difference. It doesn't matter what's happening. You can do that. And he was so accepting to put himself out there to say, you know what, I want to help young people, but most importantly, I want to help young men. So I don't know if you want to give out your number, but I know that you're a pastor and you can give, you can be motivational now to people. Do you want them to just go to our Facebook page and they can find and request you, or do you want to give out a number?
I want to make myself as available as I can.
Okay.
My family have a foundation. You could reach me through any member of my family, through Jean Joseph. She's the president of the foundation. She's accessible. Sorry. And you can reach me through my own number, which is 612-3884. 612-3884. Whether it is to have a talk, whether it is to have a conversation, whether it is to pray for you, it is my pleasure. Whatever the case may be, whether it is to help you carry some stuff to your truck, it doesn't matter to me, because at the end of the day, someone has to do it.
Or to get a gym body.
Oh, I'm an owner of a gym. I own a gym, Hot Bodies Fitness. Yeah. So if you want to get in shape, you want to change your life, because you'll be surprised how helping somebody with their fitness goal can transform their life. I've had persons come to me and they had diabetes or something, and the doctor told them that they had to hit the gym and change their life physically, otherwise they would die. And I work with them, and I get them from 300 pounds down to 200 pounds, and the doctor tell them that's a transformation. So at the end of the day, you can use any part of your life to help somebody. You can use any profession or any skill you have to add value to the world.
Yes, so I need Danny too in all those ways. But yeah, so this is Bio Out Loud, and it's definitely something that I have been passionate about. There are so many stories. I'm a chatterbox, and I meet people all the time, and they will tell me their stories, and I figure that, more people need to hear this. This is something we say, more people need to hear this one. So every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. and sometimes 7 to maybe 8:20, we will be sharing stories, Dominican stories, because believe me, we have a strong culture, but we also have strong, beautiful stories that we can share. And I know Danny was a very powerful one, so we started with him. But I definitely know that we have so many stories that you're going to be impressed by. So every Monday night, join me here on DBS Radio, where we will share and we will listen and learn the true stories of our Dominican people. We're also going to be sharing Maria's stories, because how can we share stories and forget about Maria? Dominica's stories go hand in hand with Maria's stories. So thank you so much for being here with us tonight on our Facebook Live, on the DBS YouTube page, and also in Radio Land. I am Julie Roberts, and this was my guest, Danny Joseph. This is Bio Out Loud. Until next week, Monday, Whitey Could Believe Mondays on DBS Radio, we're signing out.
My struggles, they are temporary. My trouble days could never face me. They could never face me though. They could never face me though. The amount of struggles I'm facing today, I'm still alright. You just believe in yourself, cause faith in yourself is a light. Don't dwell on the past, tell yourself that the future will be bright. Yeah, from your half life you possess the energy of a fighter. Yeah.